What up? What up? It is your boys, Hunter Brock, Christopher Saul. Final Approach Game Day. That's right. It's Friday, people. And that means it is time for a little bit of football. Hunter Brock, my man with the plan, my man in the Eagle's Nest. How you doing?
Great, Christopher. How about you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm wondering, where's Colin?
Dude, I don't know. Hey,
Unbelievable. Traffic got him. It's not good. That's okay, though. We'll bring him along. He's going to get set up, talk to our people. He's got some interviews for us that we're going to get together. Gareth Stearns of Choctawhatchee is going to be there, and we might get a surprise appearance from one Irish Bill. He's going to show up, maybe, talk about the Raiders. Anyway, Choctaw and Navarre playing in Fort Walton Beach tonight. But I want to start with you, man. How's that feel looking out there?
hey, not bad. As tradition would hold, we've got our nice little wet spot here on the 30-yard line. I don't know if you guys can see that from there, but for as long as I can remember, I know I graduated in 2012, so all while I was here, we always had that wet spot. And hey, even since then, we've rebuilt this field. And a lot of people don't realize it's actually a giant French drain. There's a creek that runs under our stadium, under our field here. So even after rebuilding it, hey, as God intended it, we got our wet spot right there on the home side 30-yard line, But other than that, we're looking good.
Is that something that, like, as a guy on the field, like an offensive lineman, you see that and you're like, yeah, okay, I know how I'm going to back this guy into this, and he's just going to slip because there's like no tread there?
I mean, it's in the back of your mind. Like, that it's slick right there. So whether you're doing the backing or you're getting backed, like, it's slippery right there. So one way or another, somebody's going to slip and slide right there tonight, guaranteed.
God intended it, and that is how it will be executed. Looking into today's Final Approach to Game Day, we're going through our first yards. We got this week's games that we're going to talk about. We're going to give you our power rankings and our pick'em, players of the week, and our superlatives. As always, joined here with Hunter Brock, owner of Final Approach Irrigation. I am Christopher Saul, your humble correspondent here in the studio. And somewhere in traffic, Colin Bester waits to show up and give us the news from Choctaw Navarre. But let's take a look at, the game so far this week, bringing it in the Emerald Coast 2025 schedule. If you're at home, you can probably see this a little bit better than my man Hunter can. But this week's games include a game that we really didn't have on our radars until probably last Saturday morning. Destin hosting Baker. Destin beating the snot out of Northview last week, and then Baker looking really good against Vernon. We'll talk about that one. The one that Colin's going to be at, Navarre, is heading over to Choctaw, playing in Fort Walton Beach. Crestview is idle this week, and Fort Walton Beach is as well. Jay will be going all the way to Freeport to play the Bulldogs. Those Royals, nobody really knows. They might be really good. They might not be. They played a really small school, and so we don't have a handle on whether or not they're actually a team to beat, or if we should even worry about them at all. And it sounds like that police car finally got to you from where it was from me. Coming up, Niceville, of course, is playing Escambia. We'll be talking about that one in detail. And South Walton is playing host to another bigger school with tough problems as of late. That's right. Fort Walton Beach is heading to South Walton. So just off the top of that list, besides Niceville, Escambia, which you and I are both going to be attending tonight, what games are you looking forward to tonight?
Definitely South Walton Baker. That one, I think, tops for me. Also, Choctaw Navarre. I really want to see kind of how Navarre plays. We both kind of had an idea that Choctaw is going to be pretty decent this year, so I'd love to see that. But definitely, some of the smaller stuff, the Baker South Walton game, I think is going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be just a knockdown drag out.
Yeah. And so I think South Walton they're playing Fort Walton tonight, right?
Yep.
And so, we got some time with head coach and Niceville Eagle alumni, Phil Tisa, after his big win over Gulf Breeze. So let's bring him on and let's hear from him. So, big win tonight over Gulf Breeze. What does it look like going into this first game of the season?
It's good to finally get to see where we're at. That was the big question mark with getting lightninged out last week. So excited to see where we're at, and proud of the way these guys worked this week and then came out and executed tonight.
So you guys have Fort Walton Beach next week. It's another team that's bigger than y'all, but has traditionally had a rough couple of years. How are you going to take what you learned in this game and take it into that game?
that, you know, it doesn't matter what size school you are. If you go out and you execute and you do things the right way, you can be successful.
Looking forward to the regionals a long way from now, but they're always tough games. Y'all have one of the most competitive districts.
Go!
Y'all have you have one of the most competitive districts in our area. What's it like to know that, hey, that's over the horizon? You got a bunch of tough teams in the county and Catholic that you're going to have to look to the next couple of weeks.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. You know, all these other games are, you know, tune-ups to try and get ready for, you know, district play. So, I mean, those are the games that really count. So, you know, hopefully we built a schedule that makes us, you know, competitive when we get to those games.
Got a lot of offense, a lot of Big Ten offense at the beginning, and then got some big passes. What does that say about your team going forward? What should other opponents expect from you in the future?
You know, that we can strike at any time. You know, I want to balance it out, but at the same time, we can take that shot when we want to.
Anything you want to say to the fans tonight?
Yeah, I just great support, phenomenal atmosphere. You know, super excited that we have finally got to kick it off here in Seahawks.
Nope, just muted myself because, of course, you got to do that at least once in a broadcast. I'll play it off for everybody again. Colin Bester joining us, and we are going to rag him for his for the traffic. But before we do that, I need a field condition report, my guy. How's it looking down there at Joe Etheridge Stadium?
The field looks a little wet, a little good today, but I think the ground game from Choctaw may be the issue. Gareth Stearns off to camera left. He'll be joining us in about 20 minutes, but we're live here at Joe Etheridge Stadium and here in Fort Walton Beach for tonight's game against the Crestview Indians and the Navarre Raiders. One team enters 1-0. That's Choctaw. Navarre looks to pick up their first win tonight against the heavy favorite, the Choctaw Indians.
Right on. Well, I want to take us back into that South Walton preview stuff that we were doing because I got a really fun drone video that I was excited to show you guys. An 80-yard touchdown pass from candidate for Player of the Week last week, DJ Brown. Let me bring it up for you. So, you know, I love me some good electronic music, so I had to put it in there. But watch for this light to go off because this is the brand new stadium in South Walton, and they got really cool LEDs. A sight to behold from the air. It was exciting to see. Total accident, by the way. But I really enjoyed it. Colin and Hunter, did you guys have anything like this back in the day when y'all were playing?
No.
Just like it's not even like, no, I'm not even going to pretend. Well, you know, they flickered them off when we had like lightning storms and stuff. That was pretty cool.
It took about 20 minutes for those incandescent bulbs at Haywood Hanna Stadium to turn on.
What about you, Hunter? Were they in the future in 2011, 2012?
Hey, no, we were still with the good old fashioned, probably incandescent. But hey, Niceville did upgrade, I guess last year to LED. Also, you know, we got that nifty up lighting on the poles too, because you know we need to see up the poles as well as down. But hey, looks good.
It's important and overlooked. We have to see what's going on in those poles. I mean, it's an important part of keeping civilization the way that it is. And, you know, I got to go to that South Walton game. Hunter, you were, you know, watching the scores from Niceville coming in that tough loss last week. But Colin Bester, Milton Panther alumni, got to go see the Milton Crestview game last week, and he brought us two of these clips. The first one is from the go-ahead touchdown from the Milton Panthers in overtime, I believe, to take that lead briefly before Crestview got a touchdown as well and went for two. So let's take a look at what was going on at Milton. I'm going to bring this one in full screen so you can see the beauty how this went for these guys. Runs it in. What a great little nifty run to the right. Get it in there. Threw a flag, but they eventually would pick it up. I thought it was not too excessive of a celebration. What do you think, Colin?
Well, anytime you spike the ball in high school football, that can be considered an excessive celebration after Kyle Paul scored that 10-yard touchdown run that tied the Panthers 19-19. It brought the Panthers up to 19 to a 13. And then after you saw Boone Sanborn kick the game-winning extra point that put Milton ahead. Crestview had their opportunity to even the game going into their first overtime drive. They had a touchdown run of their own, but after a timeout, the coaching staff decided to go for two. And unfortunately, that pass into the end zone fell a little short. And then for the first time in 658 days, the Milton Panthers came home with a W.
And so, just as a guy who went to Milton, to watch this team be pretty awful for a while, what was it like to be there in the end zone, watch that thing cross the end zone line for that go-ahead, and then watch him stop, I believe it was Jayzion McQueen, from catching that ball in the end zone to win the game?
You know, it's hard because you want to be unbiased as a reporter. I was there to cover that game as objectively as I possibly could. As I made my way onto the field to get post-game comments from Ronnie Douglas, seeing like Isaiah Jones, the wide receivers coach there, Jim Waters, who is the team chaplain, I call him Coach Waters, he's still there. But to walk up to him and say, "How about them Panthers, baby?" was very incredible. And then to see the fans, the student section was all piled up on the fence, and they were about to rush to the field. Luckily, the St. Rose County Sheriff's Office kept them at bay. But honestly, it was the way I describe it is my own personal experience was in 2012. Milton had a 10-year losing streak to Pace, and that was my senior year. We went out and beat Pace for the first time in 10 years and brought the bronze helmet home where it belongs at Milton High School. So that was pretty much the equivalent I could think of watching the students react to that win as they did almost 13 years ago at this point.
Right on. So it was a wonderful experience for all those kids at Milton, and we'll be checking in with Milton because if they are a district opponent of Niceville and Mosley and Gulf Breeze, a lot of stuff to see there, but a lot of stuff to take care of this week. And we have our picks, our tentative early picks that we're going to look at. Week 2 games, Baker at Destin. We have Alexis Williams that'll be covering that one for us, giving us updates and some great photos from that game. Navarre Raiders at Choctaw. Of course, Colin, you're going to be over there. The J Royals will be taking on the Freeport Bulldogs in Freeport. Escambia is coming to Niceville, and I'll be on that one. And then finally, Fort Walton Beach is heading to South Walton to hopefully, put up a good fight. We'll see. It's one of those games, but it's one of those things we're going to be excited to watch, and we'll cover all this stuff and more, look at all these games in depth right after this break, brought to you by Final Approach. The Final Approach to Game Day is brought to you by the good folks at Final Approach Irrigation. Owner and President Hunter Brock is one of the guys on this show and does a great job making sure that your lawn is looking like you could play on it for game day. They install irrigation systems and design them as well, and they provide even and efficient water distribution, keeping your lawn and landscape healthy while also making sure to conserve water. And if your sprinkler system is in need of an update, he's the guy to go to as well. They maintain and repair sprinkler systems from little broken sprinkler heads to faulty valves and leaks. They make sure to offer you fast and reliable repairs to keep your system running smooth. And finally, they take care of the little stuff that you may not think of that is super important to keeping a healthy lawn. Stuff like making sure that your drainage is properly installed and working. No matter what, Hunter and the folks at Final Approach Irrigation can take care of you. And, the first thing that we're going to talk about is that Baker Destin game. This is a game that, guys, we didn't think was going to be that important last week. And then Baker and Destin decided to pop off. What do you guys think? How's this one going to go?
Well, it's the ultimate battle of North County versus South County, the Cowboys versus the Fishermen, in my mind. And Destin, surprisingly, in all the best terms I think I possibly can think of, outperformed my expectations for them. We coming off last year, very disappointing year for them. To show up how they did, 30-2 over the Northview Chiefs of Escambia County, I thought that was very surprising. But for Baker, they steamrolled Vernon 49-7, and their quarterback eventually became our Mid-Bay News Player of the Week.
Don't give it away.
Sorry, but he did throw nine completions on 10 attempts, 200 yards, and 4 tutties, a touchdown. That's what the kids call them. But that was a very impressive game. Now we're seeing 2 very high-powered offenses go against each other. I remember saying that Walton versus Mariana would probably be a high-scoring game. I was wrong. I did not know ball. in week 1, but it's week 1. Who knows? But it looks like week 2, Destin versus Baker. It looks like it might be an offensive game through and through.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, especially that quarterback that they brought in from Op, who is our player of the week from last week. And we're going to give you guys a chance to vote on it for this coming week in our newsletter. So if you do sign up for our newsletter, midbaynews.com/newsletter, you'll be able to pick the next person that's going to be our player of the week. And I would like to think it's based on skill, but I am realistic enough to know that the name next to the school is just as important as the performance from the athlete. And so sign up, midbaynews.com/newsletter. Hunter, North County versus South County. It's typically the small school thing is a new iteration for us. Since we graduated from high school, Destin has showed up on the map. What are you looking for from a small, relatively new Destin high school team that's going to go up against Coach Brunson, a quarterback that he's coached for the better part of 3 years, and a high-powered offense over there in Baker?
So I think, we're going to have to be looking at some defensive side of the ball as far as the small teams go. Now that we got my little snafu sorted out about who's playing who this week. But, I think you and I talked about Baker's performance last week, and then it seems like they've got a pretty decent defense as well. So very high scoring, which we tend to see out of these smaller teams. This is something we talk about every time is, some of these smaller teams in the different counties, there's going to be a higher offensive scoring game. So I think defense is going to be a big key tonight for Destin if they want to pull out a win. We'll get to our pick'ems here, but I think Destin really is going to have to perform on both sides of the ball with defense for sure to try and stop that Baker offense.
Yeah, that small school football is always kind of the wild, wild west, right? You can have one player that makes all the difference, and we'll be talking about him in a little bit, especially, well, I guess Colin will be talking about it a little bit. He's watched most of this this rise of Baker since it happened 4 days ago with Sam Brunson coming back from Op, along with a pretty talented quarterback that's getting a couple of NAIA offers. So excited about that one. Moving down the list to what I would say is probably the big one for us. We're very excited about seeing this one. Hunter, what are you looking for from this Niceville team in order to defeat Escambia this week?
I'm looking for Niceville to just play as a team. I did not get to watch any of their game last week against Lincoln, but traditionally Lincoln's a pretty tough team to play. So I'm happy to see, we lost. I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy to see the score was as close as it was last week. So I think if Niceville continues to kind of build upon that, we're playing Escambia here. So I think, we don't want to be cocky and be like, oh, it's an easy win, but I think we want to continue to build upon what we had last week with Lincoln and, continue to work out some of the early season issues and just work together as a team on both sides of the ball here.
Yeah, and I mean it's easy to take them for granted because we've had good runs against Escambia the last couple of weeks, and we have another, I guess, wrench thrown in. Escambia played 3 days ago. Escambia played on August 26th against a West Florida team that beat them in a close game. Colin, can you talk to me a little bit about what a quick turnaround that looks like for especially offensive and defensive lines that are in the trenches to turn around after 3 days and play another full contact, full tilt game against a very good football team?
Well, I think I can speak for all offensive linemen and say that each time we do step on the field, it's very physical, and we're pushing a lot of pounds of man meat around a football field at any given time. And 3 days rest is a very short amount of time to get recovered. It is week 1, so you do think that you are still a relatively healthy team. But for Niceville, having 3 extra days to prepare for this Escambia Gators team, I think will really put Niceville over the edge. Unfortunately, Escambia has gone through some tough times in recent years. Back about 10 years ago, they were a state playoff contender year-round, sort of like how Choctaw is now. Unfortunately, that's not them anymore. So I was going to go with Escambia, and if you can pull up the graphic about our picks, I moved it over to Niceville, and I did not do it the best way. So, yeah, I'm hidden.
I love that.
Yeah, and Christopher wanted to keep it, so, yeah, we're going to keep it.
Yeah, I think it perfectly shows that you're I'm willing to cover for you in this selection here. What do you think, Hunter? I mean, you're also doing part of the coverage here to keep him safe. What do you think about this pick?
Yeah, so first, I just kind of want to piggyback off what Colin said there. Escambia actually just got here maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago. So I set up here where I actually could see the players all walking in, and man, they do look tired. Like, yeah, it's still second week of the season, but 3 days, not a lot of time to recover. But Colin over there, I think he quickly realized maybe he didn't make the best decision and didn't want to be caught on that losing side. Last week, I think we were all just kind of all over the map with everything. Like, man, we have no idea what we're talking about here. But no, I think we're pulling it together, and it's a good decision to switch to the other side there, Colin. Welcome to the winning side.
Yeah, makes our friends in Niceville very happy.
Exactly, and I like to keep the people of Niceville happy. They're the OGs, and they. To Escambia's credit, right? Like that, there are some difficulties that Niceville is going to face. I mean, they do have underclassmen in the backfield, right? So, I mean, Jacoby Gilliard, a 8th grader last year at Davidson Middle School in Crestview, is now the freshman running back here at Niceville, and he has gotten the lion's shares of the carries against Lincoln. Deegan McCoy, sophomore quarterback, who is throwing pretty well. I mean, 4 touchdowns last week. Had him as a finalist for our, player of the week. If it weren't for the L at the end of that column, I think he would have a pretty good argument for being the player of the week. There's just a lot of underclassmen in skill positions, with the exception of the receiver core, where you see a lot of seniors. And I think that is going to be the difference for the Niceville Eagles. On defense, though, I mean, the defense looks really good, has a lot of senior talent over at Niceville High School. Noah Renes, Junior Teray Geiger is going to be there as well, or I guess he's a senior. Harper Campbell is another senior that we're going to be watching on defense, a very stalwart linebacker, part of the linebacker core that is really laying down a lot of lumber over there. Those guys all had 10 or more tackles last week in that loss to Lincoln. So I think the defense is shored up. I think the defense looks really, really good for Niceville. And I think that the offense surprised me last week, looking as good as it did with the underclassmen backfield, calling the snaps, running the ball. He said to the others. So Colin, any qualms, or I guess Hunter, either of you guys, any qualms with underclassmen backfield? Do you think that's going to cause any snafus early in the game for the Eagles?
I don't think so. I see when you're talking about like maybe a quarterback, I would say so. But when you're talking about skill position players, I think maybe experience or grade level doesn't really necessarily equivalent to success on the field. But to me, I think the key for Niceville this game versus Escambia is I know Escambia likes to run the ball a lot. Basically, think what Milton did last week when they run the veer option. Escambia runs a similar style offense. So getting Escambia off the field and then allowing Niceville to have maximum either take time away from the Gators or quick strike ability for their offense. I think that's going to be the key for the Niceville Eagles. So look for those two styles of play to come out tonight.
Right on. Colin, you got a final score prediction for this one?
It's going to be bad. I think it's going to be 24-7.
24-7. That's a good time to be busy and engaged. What do you got, Connor? Final score?
I was going to go more like 35-7, but we'll see.
I'm gonna split the difference, 28-7, just to be safe.
I
like to be cozy, so I like this one. And after we take this quick commercial break, we're gonna go and take a look at Navarre and Choctaw, and then hopefully we're gonna be hearing from Mr. Gareth Stearns, the voice of the Choctaw Indians. The Final Approach to Game Day is brought to you by the good folks at Final Approach Irrigation. Owner and President Hunter Brock is one of the guys on this show and does a great job making sure that your lawn is looking like you can play on it for game day. They install irrigation systems and design them as well, and they provide even and efficient water distribution, keeping your lawn and landscape healthy while also making sure to conserve water. And if your sprinkler system is in need of an update, he's the guy to go to as well. They maintain and repair sprinkler systems from little broken sprinkler heads to faulty valves and leaks. They make sure to offer you fast and reliable repairs to keep your system running smooth. And finally, they take care of the little stuff that you may not think of that is super important to keeping a healthy lawn. Stuff like making sure that your drainage is properly installed and working, No matter what, Hunter and the folks at Final Approach Irrigation can take care of you. Well, while Hunter makes a quick move to show us a new part of the stadium and check out some of the other things that are going on around, it's going to be me and Colin. Colin, we are going to talk a whole lot about Choctaw and Navarre that I almost called Chalk Navarre, and I don't know. I almost had a wordsmithing issue there, but luckily I did not. And it is time to talk about the Indians and the Raiders. What do you see in this game as being super important there at Joe Etheridge Stadium?
So for Choctaw, the secret sauce to their success the past several years has been the run game. And last week they were held under 150 yards, which is very uncharacteristic for them as a team. But they're going against a Navarre defense that against Pensacola Catholic allowed over 300 yards rushing, and they allowed 2 running backs to get over the century mark last week. So it's going to be the Crestview run offense versus the Navarre run defense. That's probably going to be the major storyline of the game. For Navarre, it's very interesting for them. Usually they were a more 50-50 offense the past couple of years. They've had some down years. A lot of good players have left over the past several years, either graduating or transferring. And Navarre hasn't been the same relative powerhouse team that we expect them to be the past several years. But they went to a full pass-happy offense last week, throwing for over 250 yards. And I had my notes for this game, and unfortunately I left them at home. But a wide receiver, I can't remember his name, unfortunately. God, I am so sorry. Hopefully we have someone on the show later who can tell us all about him. But he had 10 catches, 153 yards, and a tutty last week against Pensacola Catholic. I think the Choctaw secondary, focusing on taking him away, will be the key to stopping this Navarre Raider offense. But it looks to be a very exciting day here. I'm luckily so far the only one here. Gareth Stearns, who is the Choctaw Indian play-by-play, he's somewhere around here. He'll be joining us shortly. As soon, I think he's up in the broadcast booth, but he'll be joining us shortly. We can talk more about that Choctaw Indians offense.
And so Choctaw's offense, we're looking at a lot of returners, a lot of seniors, a lot of guys with offers to go play ball at the next level against a Navarre team that you said, has really been depleted over the last, couple of years since their heyday. I would say in like right before COVID, they were super good. And they would always play, and they still do play, Niceville last game of the season. Halloween this year, Navarre will be heading over to that's silly. The comments
Niceville
are silly. But sorry, got distracted by funny comments. You guys, your dogs for that. But yeah, they come over to Niceville Halloween, All Hallows Eve, to try and spook a win out of Niceville. It's going to be fun, but it looks like we do have our errant correspondent, Hunter Brock, right in front of the band, looking at the color guard warming up. How far is your face from a tuba right now?
I don't know, 30, 40 yards maybe. I'm out the back of the south end zone here, so we'll see. It might get wild. You may have to cut me out or something, but it's getting pretty busy around here, so we'll see.
Right on. Well, hey, back to Colin, who is over at Joe Etheridge with one Gareth Stearns. Gareth Stearns, in addition to being, I would say, the official, unofficial Fort Walton Beach historian, is the voice of the Big Green Indian over there at Choctaw. And he's joining Colin right now live with us to talk a little bit more football from the Choctaw point of view. Colin, tell us what we need to know, man. I don't want to keep talking. You're the one with the interview guest.
Yeah, so last week you made your first official debut as the voice of the Indians on 94.3, the Ticket Sports Network. You and I come from backgrounds. I used to work at the Ticket. Now you're there, so it's great to see that place is still thriving. But a couple weeks ago, you were a teacher. There was no Indians. How did this all come about?
Well, I guess we're going to start with everything happens for a reason, right? There's something magical about Choctawhatchee High School. I grew up in this town. As an 8th grader, I went on the road for 3 different games on the road to their 1990 state championship. I was in the band for 4 years here, the Style Marchers. I've come back for reunions. I've organized alumni experiences during milestones. And I guess you could call me the Uncle Rico of Choctawhatchee High School. This school keeps finding its way back to me. And I had taught in a former life before, and I had thought that I had moved past it, and the alma mater came calling last year, and I had a lot of fun with it. And this is an opportunity that came forward for me, and I'm 47 and a half years old. This is really just everything that I always wanted, given to me in the span of about 2.5 weeks. Hey, here you go. You want to do this, and so. Yeah, now I guess I'm the quote-unquote voice of the Indians, and I am standing on the shoulders of giants. Choctawhatchee High School has such a history. We go back to 1952. When I was growing up, Dutch Van Buskirk was the voice of the Indians, and then Tom Grant and Russ Corbett, and, of course, Tom Brazell, and Jeff Peters and Lionel Fayard even did a stint. They were the ones that did it the last time, and it's been about 6 years since Choctawhatchee High School football has been back on the radio, so it's something that we're really excited about, and definitely the alumni as well.
Mm-hmm. Now let's go back to week one. It was a 21-14 win. Offense didn't look too impressive. There were some struggles last week. Talk to me about Choctaw's gritty performance last week. I know they dropped the kickoff classic to Milton, but they started off when it mattered 1-0.
Yeah, well, we all know the first half of the kickoff classic. Well, the
varsity won.
That's when the varsity won, right? So let's not. But yeah, go Panthers still,
thank you,
right?
Thank you,
yeah.
Thank you.
Last week it's kind of hard to say exactly how good I feel about things. Now we got the win. That's great. There's just a lot of variables last week. We had 2 30-minute lightning delays. I was not without my own technical hiccups, it being the first time I ever did it. So there was a lot of stuff going on. I think the Choctaw is primed and ready to have a great season. We had 4 interceptions last year in the midst of all of that. Yeah, we may not have had the most passing yards, but we made the most of the passing attempts that we made. 2 touchdown passes. Taman Zabatakis had 93 rushing yards. This is on the heels of losing our 2 best players in the first quarter. Vontavious Keller went down with an injury. Our offensive lineman Peyton Youssef was nursing an injury. It looks like he's probably going to be out tonight as well. And then we also lost our wide receiver, Zion Legree. So all things considered, I think the Choctaw managed to mount a great defense. I mean, it really all fell on the defense. It was incredible with 4 interceptions and crazy ending to the game. Did you hear about the crazy ending to this game?
I did not. I assume our viewers did not. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
I almost ended up viral for the absolute wrong reason. Here we are with about 7.2 seconds remaining in the game. We're going to be kicking. We're going to be punting the ball away. It's about 4th and 8. We're trying to figure out how best to run this clock out. Do we just take an intentional safety? Do we try to just kick the ball over their heads? So we called timeout and we looked at the formations. Ultimately, our punter, Jordan Figueroa, who had an incredible game, I would almost place him as the player of the game just because of the way he was able to flip the field and recover some high punts over his head and avoid the initial coverage and get a rugby punt still away. Nonetheless, he gets the punt away, and it's a boomer. And it sails over the receiver's head, and it kind of bounces around down there at the 1-yard line. And I'm turning to my partner, Kevin Organ, and I'm saying, well, Kevin, it looks like we're the good luck charm for Choctawhatchee High School. Let's want to know. Congratulations, buddy. Meanwhile, Kevin's like, well, folks, looks like we have an Auburn, Alabama 2013 moment unfolding here. And literally, someone had picked up the ball and had run it all the way down, was zigging and zagging. Thank God for Jabari Weeks and Mario Alloway, who made a beeline for that person and tackled him right there at the 8-yard line. It could have been the most. Thank God it wasn't. And here we are today. Go Big Green.
So before we let you go, let's get to this game. Navarre's come in and hungry. They dropped a big one to Catholic. They're looking to rebound. How do you think this Choctaw Indians team is going to look at looking at to bring a rival in here? How do you think that Choctaw's going to do tonight?
Well, I think the Navarre's definitely got a better team than they have in a couple of years, and they got a gunslinger. He was like 17 of 26 last week.
Yeah, over 200 yards. One receiver, and I forgot my notes. Christopher, again, I apologize, but he had 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown as well. So offensively, their passing offense looks amazing.
Yep, and defensively, Choctaw is looking solid. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup to see. Who knows how the rain's going to play into things, but it's football. I'm tired of all the speculation. We finally got a little data set to kind of go back and forth on, so it's great.
And if you want to hear more of Gareth tonight, the pregame coverage starts at
6:30
on 94.3 FM in Fort Walton Beach, 97.1 in Pensacola. I still remember that from my old days. WeAreSportsRadio.com, the Ticket Sports Network, Fort Walton Beach's CBS Sports radio station. Gareth Stearns, and also before we leave, you're going to be taking aim in the radio space as well. You're doing Afternoon Drive with the GOAT, Heath Childs, on the Ticket Sports Network. Tell me about that.
That's correct. Yeah. We're going to have a Monday through Friday show, 5 to 7 p.m. on 103.7 The Ticket, simulcast in Pensacola, 97.1, as well as in Milton on 1490 a.m. So we're going to have the entire Panhandle covered from Escambia to Okaloosa County. And it's going to be a college football driven show, but we're going to do some high school wrap ups on Mondays and a look ahead on Fridays. And I'm super excited this weekend to just watch as much football as I can for work. It's the first time I've ever had that to be a problem.
And it's exciting college football week. You have Florida State versus Alabama, Texas versus Ohio State as well.
SMU versus
LSU.
East Texas A&M.
He's an
That's the
SMU.
one.
I'm a Virginia Tech guy, so I hope the football gods show us grace against South Carolina. I don't know what team Hunter Brock is a fan of. Can you tell us what team you're a fan of, Hunter?
Yeah, I'm an Auburn Tiger.
Auburn Tiger. What can you do?
Not much.
Well, Gareth, my friend, it was a pleasure.
Eagle.
Yeah,
Hey.
thank you so much, Ron. Good luck to the Indians tonight. Good luck to you. And also one more thing, his how would you say, counterpart as well, if you're sidekick Irish Bill and Seminole Bob. We'll also be doing a Navarre broadcast as well. If you want to listen to that, go to irishbillsports.com or Irish Bill Sports 994 on YouTube if you want to watch the broadcast there. So if you want the Choctaw side, listen to my man Gareth. If you want the Navarre side, you can listen to Irish Bill and Seminole Bob.
That's right.
Hey,
You got the Irish Bill as well. You can't forget him.
Before Gareth leaves, we need to know how far he can throw that pigskin.
Left-handed or right-handed?
You tell me, Uncle Rico.
Oh, well, how much you want to bet I can throw it over that stadium right there?
Oh, I bet you can. I bet you
Coach
can.
only put me in state.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get Gareth on his way as he's setting up for this. But if you do find a football out there, go ahead and throw it in the background. If you hit Colin, I will give you 50 points.
Christopher, we forgot. We sent him picks at the beginning of the week. He has 5 games to pick. I don't know if you remember them.
Oh, that's right.
Well, look at that. Speaking of picks, look at that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I know. I told Christopher to use the picture of you in that softball jersey.
I picked that jersey up at an estate sale. It's a 1970s softball jersey.
That's a
old
classic.
school.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I would wear that.
Hold on, we have another special guest joining us real quick. If Irish Bill, Seminole Bob,
I remember Seminole Bob from my YMCA basketball days in the 1980s.
This is sort of like a ticket reunion here happening at Joe Etheridge Stadium. We have the team here of the Navarre Raiders broadcast, Seminole Bob to my immediate left, and to my other left is Irish Bill. We're all holding hands here. But guys, we have 5 games to pick, and since you guys are the broadcasters here, you can come on in here.
Marty Wilson. We pick all the high school games every week.
Marty Wilson, also part of the Navarre broadcast as well.
What's going on, everyone?
We have 5 games to pick. We'll start first. Little north-south action, Baker versus Destin. Who you guys got?
Well, they're both 1-0. I'm gonna have. I like what E.G. Green is doing in Destin, but I'm gonna go with the history of Baker. They just always seem to be a contender, and I like Baker on the road tonight.
Well, Baker has turned into a passing team this year, but I like Destin's quarterback with Hampton. I can't remember Wyndham. Woodham. Very great athlete. I'm going with Destin. They look good and poised to have a big season this year.
I'm going with the Baker boys. Coach Brunson's got them rolling.
And I watched EG play in high school.
Right.
So their last state title they had at Fort Wall Beach.
Christopher, I'm a little far away from the camera, so you can go ahead and give us our next matchup.
Yeah, no worries, man. So the next one is y'all's matchup, Navarre at Choctaw. I'm sure there won't be any disagreements on this one, so I'll hop off and let you guys devour each other.
Yeah, I'm going to step out of camera real quick.
I'm gonna go grab my headdress for my pick here.
Well, Bob and I hardly ever pick against the Raiders because I've been a Raider broadcaster for 17 years, and I don't think I've ever picked up against Navarre. So I just take the loss in case they do lose. But I'm still going with Navarre in a close one here.
I do too. I think the Raiders
You're going to see a
Squeak
different
one out.
Navarre team. They're a passing team this year, not a running team.
Very partisan over here at Joe Etheridge Stadium.
And
I don't disagree. You got a gunslinger. 17-26 is no joke last week.
Our next matchup is another rural matchup, but I think this is a team that's been climbing up Irish Bill's power rankings, which you can find on Irish Bill Sports Facebook. Correct? Irish Bill Sports Facebook?
IrishBillSports.com, Irish Bill Sports Live on YouTube.
We have the J Royals facing off against the who we got, Christopher? Freeport Bulldogs.
Oh,
I pick Freeport.
I like Carter Nunez, what he's doing out there. His older brother played there a few years back. Coach Arntz has been there for a while. He's doing big things. That town is growing. I look for this game not to be close.
They both had great games last week. Didn't Jay like shut out a team like 46?
Lighthouse.
But yeah, well, okay.
40-0.
Still, a shutout's a shutout, and they're going to be my upset special
And
this
the
year.
running back-
Jay on the road.
The running back was my offensive player of the week, 253 yards, 23 carries. James with its Jaymes. So James Youngblood, and his older brother. His brother is the quarterback at Jay.
All right, there's 2 more games to pick. We'll start. We'll go actually out to Walton County as the Fort Walton Beach Vikings travel to face the South Walton Eagles in a new stadium for South Walton. Who do you guys got?
Well, South Walton did a number on Golf Reef. Not that that's saying much. Last week, to open the stadium, and I look for them to go 2-0 this week.
Yeah, it's the Seahawks, not the Eagles. That's all right.
Bob teaches out there, so
Yeah, they're our feeder school. I'm a Fort Walton alum. I got to go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I picked South Walton on our pick earlier this week. I'm going to stick with that.
Hey guys, the last one we got is Niceville and Escambia. I know you guys are all picking Niceville, right?
I am. I thought Escambia was going to have a much better year with Billy Dunn at quarterback this year. I love Coach Bennett, but they proved Monday night going to West Florida, a team that they should have beat easily. They lost on the road. Niceville's going to run away with this one.
Niceville also showed some grit against a tough Tallahassee Lincoln team on the road last week. I think they've got something to prove this week. I definitely am picking Niceville.
And Niceville culture, I don't see them even losing back to that week.
No.
Yeah, right on, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Both play call teams for Choctaw and Navarre here on the Final Approach to Game Day show, brought to you by Final Approach Irrigation. We will be back right after this message. The Final Approach to Game Day is brought to you by the good folks at Final Approach Irrigation. Owner and President Hunter Brock is one of the guys on this show and does a great job making sure that your lawn is looking like you can play on it for game day. They install irrigation systems and design them as well, and they provide even and efficient water distribution, keeping your lawn and landscape healthy while also making sure to conserve water. And if your sprinkler system is in need of an update, he's the guy to go to as well. They maintain and repair sprinkler systems from little broken sprinkler heads to faulty valves and leaks. They make sure to offer you fast and reliable repairs to keep your system running smooth. And finally, they take care of the little stuff that you may not think of that is super important to keeping a healthy lawn. Stuff like making sure that your drainage is properly installed and working. No matter what, Hunter and the folks at Final Approach Irrigation can take care of you. Well, guys, the last one that we got for our Final Approach to Game Day games before we get into the power rankings and the final player of the week for last week is Fort Walton Beach and South Walton. You heard that the team over at Navarre and Choctaw is not super impressed with Fort Walton Beach this year, among other teams. How are you guys feeling about this game? Hunter, you saw some of that footage from last week with South Walton while we were in the office earlier today talking about it. What do you think about this game? What do you got for a score prediction?
Yeah, I think South Walton's going to run away with this one big time. I just don't see Fort Walton be able to get it together. They're on the road. Sadly, Fort Walton's just not the team that they once were. They were a decent opponent back when I was in high school, but I don't see that happening. Score prediction here, I got to go. I'm going to say like a 35-0.
Yeah. I would say 42-0 because I think the JV is going to get one in on them. I like South Walton. I don't think South Walton is the best team even in their district, but they are freaking miles ahead of where Fort Walton Beach has been. So I very much like South Walton in this one. Colin?
See, it's hard. My mom always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And
so do the commenters.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think it's going to be – I mean, if South Walton wins this game, I think for them, this matches their entire win season total from last year. With them having another home game in an impressive stadium where they can turn the lights on, off, green, blue, red, yellow, pink, whatever, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a running clock at half. I'm going to go 49-0.
Well, I'm going to pull a Malibu's Most Wanted and let you know that don't be hating, all right, just because they're colorful and they got like all the fun LEDs and the rest of us are just slumming out here with bright, I guess, LED. That's okay. We don't need the fun colors. I'm not jealous. It's fine. Whatever. I'll be at South Walton like 4 times this year. Looking at that, we've been through all the games this year. Anybody want to make, or this week, anybody want to make any changes to their game predictions before we lock these puppies in?
We've been doing this 2 weeks, and to be honest, I gave Fort Walton Beach benefit of the doubt last week because it's week 1, and I never want to say this too early in a season, but give me South Walton as like a lock of the week. I will eat my shorts if Fort Walton Beach wins this game.
What shorts are you wearing right now? Are these like a Lycra blend or are these cotton?
Well, I'm wearing jeans right now, but I think jeans are a little too heavy on my stomach. So maybe some nice Under Armour, shorts, running shorts. I have those. I'll find them.
Yeah. And, Maggie Brock, wonderful wife of Hunter Brock, pointed out that we do have confetti cannons at Niceville High School. So not for nothing, but we're innovative over here in the Twin Cities.
See, but you're at there's Dippin' Dots and Kona Ice, baby. This has turned out to be a party.
We got the same thing right there, man. Come on. I mean,
Dots Empire is everywhere, guys.
What are you talking about?
Do you have Chick-fil-A, Brozini Pizza, Papa Smokehouse all at the concession stand?
There's a Dippin' Dots right there. I'm not very familiar with as I drove. I know we're on Racetrack Road here. I know there's a Burger King, but I know all the Burger Kings closed down.
That's the best you got.
Go to Pounders. I could go to Pounders, but I don't know. Dippin' Dots sounds pretty good.
I'm a sucker for a good Dippin' Dots. The cotton candy Dippin' Dots gets me every time.
I'm a cookie dough guy.
Also a good choice. Hunter, do you have a choice of Dippin' Dots?
I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this one, but the rainbow, man.
No, that's a solid choice. It's got a tangy fruit flavor, and that is for some people. Whereas I like the pure sugar of the cotton candy, and Colin likes to get salmonella poisoning. So whatever works for everybody in this. And speaking,
I like the chocolate chunk because it makes me chunky.
Oh, you're great. You're good looking. All right, so you need to knock that off. But look,
that's what I tell myself every morning.
So speaking of people that looked good last week, Justice Baldwin is our player of the week. He is our consensus player of the week because we decided we were going to start player of the week this week and didn't ask anybody. And so he is quarterback out of Baker. He was at Op last year with Coach Matt Brunson. He came south with Coach across the state border to come play football over here. 90% completion, 9 out of 10 passing, 206 yards. 4 touchdowns and a QBR of 168.8 in that game. Does he do it again against Destin?
No. I think he doesn't throw it 4 touch. Here's the thing. Here's my prediction. He does not throw an interception. And Baker rolls.
Well, I mean, Coach Brunson's been great with quarterbacks over the years, and this guy's getting some NAIA offers, so I'm excited to see that. It'll be interesting to see how this Destin Baker game goes. But before we go, gentlemen, we're going to talk about our new power rankings. The Mid-Bay News Emerald Coast Power Rankings, bringing the teams that either are in Okaloosa or Walton County or play in the district of Okaloosa and Walton County. We did the math. We have an algorithm. It was very fun. And Josh Wilson over at FloridaHSFootball.com helped us develop this power ranking and has contributed to it. And at the top for this week, Choctaw with 38 votes total, trailed by Mosley at number 2. I think that Colin and I both picked Mosley to be, those are what those 2s are, the 2 first place votes.
Unanimous number 1 and 2.
Well, no, because Josh picked Choctaw number 1, which I thought was surprising. But Niceville coming in very close for having an 0-1 start, dropping that first game to Lincoln, but looking pretty good doing it. And then, Colin, your dark horse pick is Catholic, and we have them as number 4 on our power rankings right now. What made you decide that, yeah, you know what, Catholic is a legit team, and we need to respect respect what they're putting down. Was it that Navarre game?
You know, the Navarre game is very indicative where this Catholic team is. Honestly, Catholic, when you see them play schools like Choctaw, schools like I think Crestview's on their schedule, those are schools that are technically above them. And they're always a heavy hitter when they play anybody. I know last year they played Milton High and they blew out Milton. So, I mean, but then again, the 2024 Panthers is something that probably we shouldn't talk about ever. But I think this Catholic team can go against anybody in this top 10 and have a competitive football game, and if not, possibly win outright. So those boys, Pensacola Catholic, I know Walton, I know South Walton are going to be facing them later in the year. So those are going to be very interesting matchups, especially because they're all in the same district. But, you know, I think Milton being in the top 10 as well, I think to me that's a little bit of a stretch for me, but that could just be bias on my part.
Well, I think that, yeah, because I was expecting you to be all in on my like very high rank. I think I put Milton 6th out of the 22 teams that we cover. And you looked at me and said, brother, you're smoking. And I said, that's fair. I accept that. I'm still going to go with it for now. But Pace also up in there. Hunter, you've played both of these teams over your career, Milton and Pace. Who would you rather play? What stadium would you rather be at, Milton or Pace?
So actually, I never played Milton. So I can't speak to Milton, but Pace was a tough team. I'm not a huge fan of their stadium. It was kind of, but Pace was always a good, tough team. We, if memory serves me correct, we lost to them in triple overtime here at home in the playoffs my senior year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, beside being mid, stadium-wise, Pace lost to Mary Montgomery, an Alabama team that has a pretty tough pedigree last week, so that's why they're up that far. Tate, Ronnie Douglas is gone from Tate. He's over at Milton, and they did beat Fort Walton Beach last week, but, And then Walton, South Walton in the top 10, along with Navarre. Other teams receiving votes, Rickards, who is in that district with Pace and Choctaw, and I believe Navarre. Am I crazy? And then Destin and Jay also getting some votes in our power ranking, our inaugural power ranking here at Mid-Bay News. That's pretty much what we got on this show today, guys. Any last thoughts? Any things that you're going to be watching for at the games that you're at tonight?
Let's have Hunter start because he is at Niceville, and I feel like Niceville kids should go first.
So I really am truly looking to get my first good look at our team at home, see how we perform, how do we do. Obviously we lost last week to Lincoln when we talked about this, but it was closer than it could have been for sure. So I'm happy to see that it was only a small loss. But I will say this: I'll be interested to see what the crowd looks like tonight. I think there's a lot of people that want to come to this home game and see, but I don't know if you can tell, but right now it's actually raining on me right now. So if you're coming tonight, bring your rain jacket, bring an umbrella, something. But I still think we'll have a pretty good crowd turn out for that, even in the weather.
Those are the most fun games when it's raining. Niceville really shows up for those rain games, and nobody ever expects it. And the wall of sound that comes, especially from the student section, is always a sight to behold, man.
Oh, yeah. Student section of the band. You guys can probably hear, but see the band behind me warming up now. I'm sure they've been blowing everybody away for the last 15 minutes. So they're ready.
Right on. Colin, what you got for me, man?
The Choctaw and Navarre is going to be a very interesting game, a game how we move forward with our football coverage, because Choctaw and Navarre will play a lot of the teams in Okaloosa County throughout the same year. Choctaw is going to go through everyone in Okaloosa County, but Navarre is one of these interesting teams, and Niceville will face them at the end of the year. So we could see an entirely different Navarre team between now and then Halloween. We could see an entirely different Choctaw team between now and Halloween as with the state playoffs approach. So it'd be very interesting to see my first look at these two teams. I know next week we have more games that we'll talk about later, but this is sort of the early workings to see who came into 2025 hot and who's starting to be not. I feel like that's kind of a weird way to say that, but
that's hot or it's not. That should be a segment. Is that hot or is that not?
Do we have to talk like this the entire time?
We absolutely do. Niceville, hot.
Get a loser, we're going shopping.
Yeah.
Get a loser, we're going to the playoffs.
I think we've broken Colin. Anyway,
I'm
For
gonna
all
go
of
get some
us.
Dippin' Dots.
He's going to go get
See
some
ya.
Dippin' Dots because we broke him. Hunter, thanks for being here, brother. And thank you guys for being here on the Final Approach to Game Day, brought to you by Final Approach Irrigation. If it's a broken sprinkler head or if you need a whole yard remodel, the guy below me is the man you need to see. We will see you at the games tonight, and we'll have recaps throughout the weekend and into next week. So have a great Friday, everybody.